Hello everyone and welcome to this Grand Arena strategy video. In today's video we will be going over the best teams for 5v5 into three different categories. We have the best offensive teams, the best defensive teams, and then we have a flex category for teams that you can use in either offense and defense based on your, where you are with your roster. These are solely based on my opinion. This is what I will be using in Grand Arena, so if you find a couple teams that are useful, good. If not, then no big deal. But I do think this is the best teams for this season. If you guys do enjoy this content, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment below if you are enjoying it. And for any future ideas for videos, be very appreciative. So without further ado, let's go right in and I will show you the teams. So we're going to be starting off with the best defensive teams, and no brainer on this one. Queen Amidala with Obi-Wan and Master Qui-Gon are going to be the MVP of GAC defense this season. They were a nightmare in 3v3. The only team that was comfortable with taking them out was Bane, and that's probably what I'm going to be using on them this season is Bane as well, unless there's another counter that we come up with. I'm going to try to do some testing, but as of right now, this is going to be the best Grand Arena team this season. So if you did happen to whale or hoard crystals for this team, you're in really good shape. If not, I think the team below is going to be a great substitute. It's going to be Queen Amidala with a Bad Batch. I personally have not used the Bad Batch offensively in a very long time. They're kind of falling out of favor, especially in the top end of Kyber 1. I was in the top 300 last season and the season before, and I'm having a really hard time finding a spot for them. So I find putting them with Queen Amidala is a great move. It allows you to add another team to your defense. She's very strong. It's going to require a strong team to take them out, and you might as well use them. So I think it's going to be a very good pair with Queen Amidala. Going into the third team, Gungans. They have a very good Datacron. Jar Jar is very strong. They have to be a defensive move. They can throw off your opponent. If you can't get through them, you can get stuck. You could time out. If you have Jar Jar, I highly recommend putting this team on defense. I'm going to try to see if Traya works in 5v5. That's what I'm planning on using against them. I don't know how it's going to go. It worked great in 3v3, but for the first round, if I face someone with Jar Jar, I will be using Traya on them to make sure it works still. And then another no-brainer, Rey with her Datacron with the stacking offense. I've had times where I use Bane and someone else and she one-shots them without getting the sacrifice, and the Grand Arena could be in huge trouble. So I think the Rey with the stacking offense cron is the way to go. It can one-shot your team. With Cal, he's applying a lot of debuffs. Rey with her mind trick, and she gets high evasion. L3s are very annoying tank, so I think this team, is very good together. Last season, I put in Captain Rex and Echo, but there's a reason why I'm not putting Rex in this time. You're going to see in the offensive team, I'm putting him with Phoenix, and I'll explain why when we get there. But for now, this is going to be the Rey team that I put on defense for this season. Going to the next one, we have Finn with Holdo, and this team is also a nightmare. If you take this team lightly or preload it, you're going to be in a lot of trouble. You're going to be in a huge turn meter loop, and you're not going to be able to get out of it. So Night Sisters did have somewhat success, but there's a lot of RNG with it of who they target. If they have the tenacity level 3, it makes it way harder. So Finn is going to be a very strong defensive team this Grand Arena season, and I highly recommend for defense. And next team we're going to go with is Jabba. Very strong with the level 3 max health and protection. It can be very strong, and the reason why I think Jabba is going to be strong this season is because the usual go-to is Kenobi, and Kenobi's got a really strong Datacron, so he's going to be set on defense, and then you're stuck with using something else to take out Jabba, and you're going to have to figure that out, and that's why I'm putting him on defense. It's going to throw off my opponents. They have to use a really good team, but they want to save Kenobi. They're going to save Kenobi for offense. They're going to take out Jabba. If not, they got to figure something else out. And a little tip, if you mod your Chrysanthemum for tenacity, it makes the Lord Vader counter extremely difficult. So If your opponent is planning on leaving just Lord Vader for offense to take out Jabba and you have a high tenacity Chrysanthemum, they might get stuck. So that's my plan. That's why I'm going to be putting Jabba on defense this season. Next up, like I mentioned, Kenobi with Padme. Probably the best Galactic Legend team right now. Him with Queen Amidala. These are the best two teams in Grand Arena right now. I'm going to put him on defense. I'm going to see what I can use to get through him. Going to do a couple tests, but he's going to stay on defense until we find a good counter. Next up, we got Kelleran Beck. Very strong level 9 Datacron right now. Got the Jedi. This team requires a very, very strong team to take out. In 3v3, I remember I was using JML. It's requiring almost a Galactic Legend if you have Ki-Adi-Mundi and Jedi Knight Anakin. It's just such a strong team. I'm going to be putting it on defense. It requires a strong team to take it out. So that's where it's going to be going this season. Next up, I have Trench going on defense as well. Trench can throw off a lot of players. I got a couple holds in 3v3 with Trench, and I'm hoping in 5v5 I get the same. Wat Tambor makes the team just way more difficult, and I'm hoping it could surprise some people on defense, so that's where he'll be going. And last up, I will be putting Tuskens in the defensive slot. Always an annoying team. If you take Tuskens lightly, you can get a loss, and it could change the Grand Arena. We're at a point in Grand Arena where if you drop a battle, it's almost instant defeat if your opponent is good. And in Kyber 1, it's all about efficiency, so you can't even think about dropping a battle. So Tuskens is going to go on defense, and I think they're going to throw off a lot of players if you take it lightly. So that's going to be the staples for defense for me, and now I'm going to be going into the offensive teams that I will be using. So starting out with offense, I think Malgus has turned fully into an offensive team for Grand Arena. This guy could take out so many teams. He's taken out Reva, he's taken out Malicos. I'm going to see if he can maybe take out Bo-Katan Mandalore if I see it on defense, but I got to see how that plays out. But I'm very comfortable with Malgus. Very, very strong team. He's a little weak on defense with Jedi Knight Cal Kestis. You don't want to have your opponent just use that against him. He's way, way more useful with taking out other teams. So that's why I'm putting Malgus on offense. Next up, we got Bane and Sith Assassin. Bane is the MVP on offense. Can take out almost. He can take out every team on offense. So you just have to play it right. Hopefully the RNG is in your favor against Rey in some battles with the offense, but takes out Leia, Reva, Queen Amidala. Bane is the strongest character in the game, in my opinion. He's going to be on offense for forever, but going to be using him this Grand Arena season. Inquisitors, I know they have a very strong Datacron this set. They have very high damage, but the team is still very susceptible to getting phoenixed. So a lot of people are going to miss out on, if they put Inquisitors on defense, they're not thinking about Phoenix. They can get Phoenix. There's no doubt level 3. You don't want your Inquisitors to be taken out by a Phoenix squad, so that's why I'm putting them on offense. I can use them to take out a Leia. Going to try to see if they can take out a Kenobi. I don't know if they will. I want to do a test, but we'll figure that out when we get there. But that's why Inquisitors are going on defense. On offense. I don't want them getting beaten by Phoenix. Which brings us to the next team, Phoenix. That's what I'm going to be using them for. Captain Rex, I don't want to get stuck behind a Reva. I don't want to use a very, very strong team against Reva. So I'm going to be using Phoenix, and we'll be using Geo Alpha against them as well. Little tip, the summon only starts with 5 stacks of Purge. So if Grand Inquisitor uses his second special, the team does not get Tenacity up. Helps with the RNG of Captain Rex applying his Tenacity down in days. So that's going to be the team I use to take out Reva. That's why they're on offense. Next up, I have Lord Vader. Lord Vader, I find, has a lot of counters on defense with Bo, JML, some Fennec squads. I'm going to be using him on offense, and my goal is to use him against Jabba if the opponent does not have a high tenacity Chrysanthemum. If they do, probably going to have to use Supreme Leader Kylo Ren on that team. But if the person has a defense or health Chrysanthemum, Lord Vader will be the counter for that team. But that's the purpose I'm using him on offense, and that's why I'm recommending him for offense for you guys. Next up, we have Dark Trooper Moff Gideon, and Dark Trooper Moff Gideon is in a weird spot right now where you can't really put him on defense because he can get Sidious soloed, and you don't want your opponent to get that high efficiency in banners. So he had a very strong Datacron last season, and I'm recommending him for offense strictly. I use him for taking out Saw teams. So Saw can be annoying, especially with the Omicron that he has, but that's why I'm putting him on offense. I don't want to give my opponent full banners on that. Next up, I'm recommending Traya on offense, especially if your opponent has Jar Jar Binks. I'm not sure if it's a 100% guarantee win, but I do know that it worked in 3v3, and I'm hoping it works in 5v5. So that's why I am recommending Traya for offense this season. Next up, we have JML. Very, very strong GL. At one point, can beat all GLs in the game. I don't think he can beat Rey or JMK right now, but he can pretty much hold his own on all the others. So I will be using him on offense as well. And if my opponent sets a very strong Beck team, I will probably be using him on Beck, unfortunately. But that's where I'm using him on offense. Next up, we have Starkiller. And the reason I am putting Starkiller on offense is because if you place him on defense, he's going to get max banners against Sidious if you place him there. And in a game of efficiency with Grand Arena, especially in Kyber 1, you can't allow your opponent to get that high banners against you. You're going to lose. So Starkiller is best on offense this season, in my opinion. He has a way of getting max banners with his ultimate, and that's why I'm putting him on offense. Next up, we have Aphra with the droids and Darth Vader. Aphra, I haven't really used a lot last season in 3v3, but does have her use in 5v5. I'm not putting her on defense because CLS can take her down very easily, especially with a high armor pen set. They can one-shot her right out the gate, so that is why I am putting her on offense. Next up, we got Sith Eternal Emperor. This guy is good at soloing. He can get you out of pinches. He is very good against gas. He can get max banners against gas. I think he's way better on offense in terms of banners and efficiency, and that's why I'm using him there. No brainer with Sidious. Can solo teams. If your opponent makes a mistake and sets a team that can be soloed by him, it can make the difference in the end. And then the final team, we have Bastila with Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, and you have kind of like a flex with a Jedi. This is helpful when taking out Malgus if they set it. That's why I'm recommending him in this team for offense. Now we're going to be moving to the flex picks. So these are kind of the teams where it depends on where do you want to put them. They can work both on offense and defense. For example, Leia. This Leia team is very good at taking out Rey. It all depends if you're going to be using Bane against Rey. If you're not, Leia might go on defense. Leia can also take out Supreme Leader Kylo Ren possibly, but I think it depends on my opponent's roster, but I'm leaving Leia in flex. SLKR, I mentioned what the offensive teams, if my opponent has a Jabba with a high tenacity Chrysanthemum, I'm probably going to have to take in Supreme Leader Kylo Ren to take out Jabba. If not, maybe Supreme Leader Kylo Ren could go on defense, or I could use him to take out a Kenobi, but there's RNG with it if they focus on Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, so it's all a risk, but I have to see what I'm going to do based off my opponent's roster, so that's why I'm putting Supreme Leader Kylo Ren on the flex. Next, we have Seer. Seer's a very good team. Seer can take out a Reva, can take out Rey. I'm not setting Seer with Baby Cal. That might make the team a lot weaker, so that's why I'm putting her in flex. I think Cal is way stronger with Rey, in my opinion, for this set, so that's why I'm separating the team. But even without Baby Cal, very strong team, I'm putting it in the flex spot. Bo is the next team I'm putting in flex because Bo could surprise people on defense. So let's say you have Jar Jar Binks and you place Bo in the front wall. Your opponent might use Traya to take out your Bo, gets to the back wall, and they have nothing to take out Jar Jar. So you could throw off your opponents with this little trick. I don't know if the Sidious solo will work in 5v5. Bam might stack up enough birds to one-shot him, or the healing immunity might cause an issue at one point, even though he cleanses. It's tough to say. We're going to have to see in the first round, but Bo is going to be in the flex spot. Can be used to take out Lord Vader and a number of other teams, so we'll have to see the first round. Next we have General Grievous with Stap. With the Omicron, you can take out a Leia. So if your opponent sets Leia on defense, you can easily take it out with this team. If you don't have the Omicron, you might as well place it on defense. It's still going to be very strong, but it's a flex depending on your roster, so that's why I'm putting it in this category. We have, in the next slot, we have General Skywalker with the 501st. There are two very strong crons that he can use. The only problem with gas on offense is I typically find it's not very high banners, which is an issue, but at the same time, it's helping me get out of pinches of teams I cannot take out. So it's also very good at cleaning up Rey if you mess up. If you take out like the sides and you don't want to use another team like a Galactic Legend, or you just can't get Rey down, gas can definitely get you out of that Rey pinch. So again, depends on where you want to use your teams. If you have a plan, putting them in the flex category. And the last team I have for flex, I am putting CLS, because CLS is very strong on offense, but could definitely throw people off guard on defense as well. I use him on offense mostly to take out Afra, just in case the person sets it, but very, very strong team. I recommend him in the flex slot. Now, the team that I'm putting as a little bit of a secret sauce, I call it, is going to be this team. And it's going to be SLKR with Malicos and a whole unaligned Force user team. This team is very strong. The problem is you're breaking up a lot of teams to get it done. But I've gotten stuck in this team before. My JML has lost. It takes a very, very, very strong team to beat it. And especially with the Datacron for SLKR with his relics, and if he has the one that ignores defense, he's going to be one-shotting people with the armor pen. And with Malicos, this is going to be my secret team that I might place on defense this season. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you find one or two teams that you enjoyed, please leave a comment below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to be notified on other videos, and hopefully you guys can come and join the Knights of X, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.